Hi, it's Sunday the 12th of January or something like that, and it's 5:30, and I'm standing outside the Co-op in Walton Street, not because it's a particularly historic building, but just because the weather has been absolutely horrible for the past few days, and this is the first chance that I've had to get outside in comfort. It was actually down to about -3 outside yesterday, and I spent almost the entire day inside with the windows closed. The cold was just so penetrating, and I'm utterly thankful that it has warmed up to the extent where I can actually wander around outside without feeling as though my face is being sandpapered by particles of snow blasted out of the Arctic. So I'm just going to go on a dusk walk around Oxford for half an hour or so. We had the shortest day on the 21st, and I did a shortest day video the day after, and it is now getting noticeably lighter at night. Probably won't show up on the video, but the sky is a sort of dark. It's like the inside of a pair of navy blue trousers, the rough side. I'm now walking around outside the Blavatnik building, whose interior you can see very clearly at a time like this. And I'm in the University Observatory Quarter again, and that's I keep mentioning this name, the Thomas Schwarzman Centre for the Humanities, which is now, must be almost built. I did a video of the Blavatnik shortly before Christmas, which I titled Blavatnik, something like Blavatnik in Walton Street with protesters. There was a pro-Gaza protest happening outside here at the time. And as I say, this is just a sort of random wander around Oxford Centre, because I'm pleased at actually being able to have a random wander without feeling completely blasted into submission by the weather. These are slightly older buildings in the University Observatory Quarter. I think I'm not sure, but I think this might be Somerville College accommodation. In which case, that is the Somerville College laundrette, with two of their, or possibly four, no, it's probably, I think there might be stacked spin dryers. I'm not quite sure how you're supposed to get clothes into the ones at the top. Maybe they're not spin dryers, maybe they're some piece of lab equipment and this isn't accommodation. Oh, well, no, that's obviously a kitchen. There's a microwave oven on the other side. May not be able to see it, but it's on the counter there. So this does look like student accommodation. And that is Somerville College grounds through there. As you'll have seen from my quick shot of the kitchen, at least one of the students is now a man. In fact, a lot of the students are now men. But Somerville was originally founded as one of the 5 women's colleges. There used to be this ridiculous division between men and women, and there were separate colleges for women. Somerville, St Anne's, St Hilda's, Somerville, St Anne's, St Hilda's. I can't remember the other 2 at the moment. It'll come to me shortly. And there was something called the Jesus Experiment, which sounds like the title of a bad science fiction book, but was actually initiated, I think, in the early 70s, when Jesus and possibly one other college were the first to go mixed. And reputedly, one thing that happened was that they were equipped with washing machines for the first time ever, it having been assumed previously that men had no need to do their washing. I think actually that attitude probably dates back to slightly older types of dress, when people tended to wear collared shirts and ties during the day and could send stuff to a local laundrette to be done. There'd be pick-up points in college and put-down points for clothes that needed laundering. Anyway, the Jesus Experiment was a success, and one by one other colleges went mixed. I can't remember which the last holdout was. That's the Royal Oak pub. Now I'm passing from Woodstock to Banbury Road. That building used to be for the study of materials, science of materials and metallurgy, and there used to be a big hoist. I think some of the heavier materials were unloaded by its aid. And that building used to be where the main university computer, the so-called mainframe, was kept. And this construction with the big blocks was the machine room. It was where the mainframe and other pieces of equipment like tape decks lived, and it was heavily air conditioned. That's the first engineering building, the Tom building, THOM, named after a Professor Tom, I believe. And that brick building on the corner of the right-hand side of Woodstock Road, I think that's now the robotics department, or part of the robotics department, but it used to be where the university's very first mainframe computer, a thing called a KDF-9, lived. I think that started in the late 50s. I video the cars because if any of them hits me because of bad driving, there will at least be a record of it for future prosecution. Right angles and diagonal struts are the rule around here. Now I'm at the north end of Parks Road, and this is the gate into the university parks. You've seen me do videos where I started here and walked over there to New Marston, or across there and across the Rainbow Bridge. Well, the parks close at roughly dusk, so there's no chance of doing that tonight. Come by in the morning at about 5:30 and there'll be a splendid mist rising off them, probably a bit later than 5:30. In fact, the sky is dusky now, but it does also look misty, though I suspect that won't be visible. This is the University Science area on my left. And I did a video of that where I walked through and looked at the mixture of building styles. Those are two research students talking to each other. One of them is explaining something technical and rather mathematical, quite possibly physics, because the physics labs are up this end of the science area. Those are physics labs, and they're all different styles, but somehow the collection looks a lot more coherent in this light than it does during the day. I think the fact that you can't see the materials so well and that you've got the lighting at roughly the same level sort of pulls the buildings together into a unit. It's actually quite striking, and if they removed the railings it would be quite a pleasing sight. So let's go inside. So that is Oxford University Physics, and in those buildings there'll be all sorts. There'll be administrative offices, places for collecting mail and so on. There'll be teaching laboratories where the students go and learn how to handle basic pieces of equipment like calorimeters and various pieces of electronics. There'll be research group offices where people sit and read or write academic papers. There'll be more specialised laboratories. There'll be some very, very expensive equipment, probably including a number of lasers of different types. And there'll be an awful lot of heavy thinking. And lots of computers. Almost fell over. The ground here is supposed to be sown with grass, but the grass has been sort of trodden into the muck, and I almost fell over into it. This is the University Museum, the Natural History Museum, with the dinosaurs and the whale isle. That's isle as in A-I-S-L-E, not island. One section of the museum has several whale skeletons slung one in front of the other. Now that's quite amazing. That's the Horsebox coffee van, and they do really nice coffee. It's actually not quite as warm as I thought. I think the air is very damp and I can feel it in my fingers. And one reason I came out and I was standing outside the co-op was not just to be able to walk outside again after the weather had forced me indoors. It was also to get cheap food from the co-op, because they're pretty good at what we call reductions, items where the prices have been knocked down because they're going slightly out of date. So I got some cupcakes, and some mushrooms, and a cauliflower. And the orange label on these things denotes a reduction, and that's the same in most British supermarkets, I think. Done it. I couldn't get the items back in my bag, and the cauliflower will have survived, but I expect the cupcakes are now squashed. Anyway, students affect even that aspect of Oxford life. We noticed yesterday that the number of reduced items in the local co-op in Sainsbury's was much less than it has been for the past 6 weeks, and that's because loads of students came back yesterday, and they'll have been scouring the places for cheap food. As to my own reason for buying the reductions, I'm still suffering from a company I wrote some software for that then didn't pay me for all the time I spent, so I'm really short of money, and therefore the co-op's reductions are a very good idea. Right, so I'm now on the bit of Parks Road that has the old buildings, the college grounds, in it, rather than the bit further up that has the science area. And my face has gone slightly numb because it isn't actually as warm as I thought, so apologies if I don't speak very clearly. So that is, at the moment it's the grounds of St John's on my right, and that's the house of the principal, or whatever they have, of Wadham College. Probably won't see very much of that in this light. This being Oxford, there are bicycles everywhere. That's the Kingerlee hoarding. Kingerlee being a local building company who've been around for over 150 years, and I've featured them in other videos. That's the King's Arms pub, though nobody, popular drinking place, but no one is foolhardy enough to sit outside tonight. Plenty of people inside, though. Let's not stare at them too much. Scooters are a thing now in Oxford, and you see clusters like this on almost every pavement corner. And tonight I think I'm also seeing quite a lot of students who are back for the first time. The university terms have their own distinctive naming system, and so do the weeks of the terms. There are 3 terms: Michaelmas, Hilary and Trinity. Michaelmas is autumn term. Hilary is, well, some people call it spring term, but you can't really call this spring. Winter term would be better. January, February and March. And Trinity is the nice one. That's the summer term, when you can actually enjoy the golden stone and hope for a few days without rain and go punting and drink pims and things like that. Each term has 8 weeks of generally fairly regularly spaced lab visits, lectures and other bits of teaching. That's for undergraduates. And the weeks of what's called full term are numbered 1 to 8. First week, second week, third week, fourth week, fifth week, sixth week, seventh week, eighth week. And then noughth week is a sort of prelude to each term. At the beginning of the first term, Michaelmas, students have to be back, I think it might even be before Thursday of noughth week, and they have to do a bit of settling in. And the other 2 terms, they have to be back by Thursday of noughth week, ready for full terms starting on the Monday. So you have these lectures and other things staggered across the weeks, and of course you also have student clubs, things like choir practice and drama groups and sports and rowing and who knows what. Well, this is Broad Street, and it is now much barer than it was last Sunday when the Christmas market was here for its last day. I'm just putting up the video about that at the moment. It's processing on my computer at home as I speak. So this is a much emptier Broad Street than we've had since about the end of November, when the market started. And I think it's rather a shame the market's gone. It's added a touch of coziness and had nice things to eat. And a band, or bands. That is Trinity. There won't be all that much change in the darkness over term. By the 15th or so, we'll start noticing that it's properly light at 5 o'clock, I think. And by the middle of February, it will be light in some sense until about 6. And then it'll start to seem properly light near the end of March, just before the clock change makes that unnecessary anymore. But the evenings are still going to be pretty dark for some time. See, some of the Christmas lights are still up. They're not lit, but I can certainly see something there. Now I'm going to walk back north along St Giles. I did a video of the Christmas lights, showing how they were hanging from the paired lamps, except where sometimes one of the wings of the lights had disappeared. Well, those have been removed now. Actually, I think that's untrue. There seems to be something hanging underneath at least some of the lamps. But again, it's not turned on if it is lighting. This chap's always active during most of the year. Coffee and various types of snacks. Lebanese wraps, falafel, toasted panini, coffee, ice cream and milkshakes. and a mixed Mezza plate for £10. There was a splendid and very well lit Christmas tree here, which St John's put up. That's now gone. Oh well, the Lamb and Flaggers got its crowds of students back. So and the Eagle and Child pub still has the cartoonish 4-drop that will be up during its renovation. You can just see, I think, where I'm pointing, the rightmost cartoon figure. And those are the bells of St Giles Church. It's just gone 6:10, and I think they'll keep on pealing until past, when the service starts. There is an insane amount of construction work here, and whatever's being done doesn't seem to be being done very quickly. Dangerous because of the traffic flow being messed around with. And here I am by Taylor's and St Giles Church, and I shall end here and take home my cauliflower cupcakes and mushrooms. See you next time.